All right. Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Andy, and welcome to this week's Team Kentucky Update. First, today, I am proud to announce that Kentucky has now set the longest period for the lowest unemployment rates in state history, and that we can announce we have significantly more jobs in Kentucky today than we did before the beginning of the pandemic. So first, over the past 15 months, our unemployment rate has been between 3.8%, the lowest rate ever recorded, and 4%, marking the longest period with the lowest unemployment rates the state has ever seen. Kentucky has now achieved a 3.8% rate for 4 separate months since the beginning of 2022. That, along with the other months being nearly that low, means we have been at or below the lowest unemployment rates in Kentucky's history since the Bureau of Labor and Statistics started tracking it in 1976. Kentucky is emerging as a top 10 economy, an economic powerhouse, and I want to thank our working families and the businesses that are betting their futures on our great state for making it happen. According to the Kentucky Center for Statistics, the preliminary March 2023 jobless rate, that's the newest one out, was down 0.1 percentage points from February of 2023 and was unchanged from the 3.8% recorded 1 year ago, each of these being the lowest ever. We're also able to announce today that Kentucky has seen job growth over pre-pandemic levels, and that as of today, we have 46,000 more jobs in Kentucky than in February of 2020. Just last month, we announced that Kentucky had set the lowest annual unemployment rate last year at 3.9%. We continue to speed up our economic momentum as we build back stronger after the impacts of the pandemic. Since the beginning of this administration, we've announced the creation of 44,800 new jobs and 846 private sector new location or expansion projects, totaling $25.8 billion in announced investments. Today's news is more proof of what we can do when we all work together on one team, Team Kentucky. And we don't worry about moving a state to the right or the left, but we move it forward for all of our families. Remember, a good job, now more jobs than even in February of 2020. Good job in red or blue, in D or R. It's just good for that family. This week in economic development news, I also want to highlight an exciting groundbreaking that shows the continuing strength of Kentucky's manufacturing sector, which since the beginning of my administration seen over 570 projects, $22 billion in investment, and 29,000 new Kentucky jobs. Last week, OI Glass, a company that has specialized in the manufacturing of glass packaging for nearly 120 years, broke ground on a huge project in Bowling Green. It's creating 140 full-time Kentucky jobs with a $240 million investment. The new location will provide the company with critical localized production capacity of glass packaging for a variety of consumer beverages with a focus on the premium spirits market. The project will be the first facility to use new technology known as modular advanced glass manufacturing asset to increase speed to market and efficiency in the manufacturing process. We believe this is the first facility ever that will use this technology, and it's right here in Kentucky. Our manufacturing industry is a crucial component of Kentucky's economy, and the unprecedented momentum we are seeing in this sector is possible because of companies like OI Glass having confidence in us. I want to congratulate OI's leadership on their exciting new step as a company, and we welcome them to Kentucky. I look forward to seeing their success and their growth here in the Commonwealth. Next, we have some good news, and we've needed some good news about progress being made in our fight against the opioid and drug epidemic. We have recently learned that in 2022, for the first time in 4 years, we saw a decrease in overdose deaths from the year before. So last year, overdose deaths fell by 5% compared to the year before. Now, that number is still far too high. The number of people that we're losing to overdose deaths, one is too many. But with the opioid epidemic, we see far, far too many. But still, It's been since, I believe, 2018 since we have seen a year that had fewer overdose deaths than the year before. I think it's important that we note that because it ought to give us at least hope. Hope that progress is possible. Hope that we can see fewer deaths next year than we saw this year. Hope that we can get more people better and back with their families, back in society, back in a good job. Since taking office, fighting the ongoing drug epidemic has been a top priority for me, both as Attorney General and as Governor. Just last month, I signed 2 bills setting requirements for certification, operation, and oversight of recovery housing, another piece that comes after treatment that's going to keep people who have gotten better. In other words, keep people who have gone through that treatment process, but still need support around them to stay well and to stay healthy and to not fall back into it. And we also signed a bill to ensure direct payments from health insurance to recovery facilities that can provide care. This is when something is out of network. They used to just send it directly to the individual, but for somebody needing treatment, that money needs to go right to the treatment center to ensure that they are getting those services. We also announced a game changer that's occurred over the past couple years, that since 2019, since I took office in December of 2019, we've increased the number of treatment beds available to help Kentuckians by 50%. We've worked hard to remove the cost barrier of treatment so that every single Kentuckian who wants help today can get it and that there is a bed available for them. Addiction spares no one. Every family in Kentucky, I used to say almost, it's now every family in Kentucky has been touched by addiction in some way, with most of them having suffered a loss of a family member, a friend, someone close to them. We've lost parents, children, and friends, each a child of God that is irreplaceable. But we can do this. This is a crisis, an epidemic that arose in our lifetime. I'd like to think we have a responsibility for ending it in our lifetime. And while a 5% reduction from the last year may seem small, it ought to give us some confidence that we can continue to do better, that we continue to increase those number of treatment beds, we continue to solidify recovery, we continue to address transportation barriers, we continue to announce things like we did with the Chamber of Commerce on getting those that have suffered addiction back in to good jobs or incarceration to good jobs. I mean, right now, with a red-hot economy, we have better opportunities at second chance employment than ever before. And think about what that could mean to getting somebody in a really stable situation that may not have been in a stable situation for decades. I believe that this is our chance to make not just a 5% improvement, but significantly better improvements day in and day out. And remember, that's a 5% decrease over last year, even though the drugs that are on the streets right now are that much deadlier. So here with us today is Dana Quisenberry, co-principal investigator for surveillance of the Kentucky Drug Overdose Data to Action Program, a partner of the Department for Public Health and University of Kentucky's College of Public Health. We thank this agency for their work on producing good, solid data, which helps us make good decisions and good policy. Dana, would you like to say a few words? Welcome.
Thank you. I would like to thank the governor for inviting us here today to share this exciting news. It's hard to believe that with the loss of life from overdose being what it is, that we find this early signal of a decline in overdose deaths from year to year, a positive note. On behalf of Dr. Bunn, the director of KIPRIC, our wonderful surveillance and prevention staff that's funded under the Overdose Data to Action, we're really optimistic about this finding. This early signal gives us some support that our prevention and intervention efforts that are implemented by Kentucky, our state and local partners across the state, that they're having an effect. And while this news is encouraging, there's still a lot of work to be done. And we really hope that this early signal will strengthen our resolve to address the substance use issues, including the diagnosis and treatment of substance use disorders, and continue to support Kentuckians, Governor, in their recovery and our joint recovery as we move forward.
Thank you for your work.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
I appreciate your whole group.
Thank you.
Thank you to Dana and all of her colleagues for their work in partnering with Team Kentucky for this fight. All right, quick update on Natural Bridge State Park. A wildfire at Natural Bridge State Resort Park in Slade, Kentucky began late Monday, April 17th. The Kentucky State Park Ranger Division provided overnight watch. We're thankful for nearly 100 firefighters from the Kentucky Division of Forestry, the U.S. Forest Service, Daniel Boone National Forest, and local fire departments who are working to control the fire. They're using multiple engines and aerial resources. Winds on Tuesday pushed the fire over the containment lines into more than 100 acres in the last 24 hours and into the Daniel Boone National Forest land. Once the fire is contained and the spread is stopped, fire crews will turn their efforts into controlling the fire by extinguishing and smoldering material and reinforcing control lines. All park trailheads and parking lots except for the lodge lot are closed to the public. Due to the fire spreading, guests staying in the cottages have been relocated to the lodge. Cottages and the Woodland Center are closed to the public. Mill Creek Lake is currently used as a water source to fight the fire and thus is closed to the public as well. The lodge and dining rooms are open and operating during regular working hours. Campgrounds will be open for campers this weekend. But wanted to say how grateful we are for all these firefighters working to preserve such a special place that Kentuckians get to make memories with their families and that bring people from all over the country to see us here in Kentucky. All right, we've been working to promote public safety and support our law enforcement. These last couple weeks, I've signed several pieces of legislation that support our officers who risk their lives every day by making it easier for these agencies to recruit and create wellness programs to support officer mental health and more. Folks, after last week's senseless acts of violence in Louisville, where our first responders responded in minutes, in one instance running directly into gunfire, it is crucial that we do everything we can to support law enforcement and public safety. This month, our Department of Criminal Justice Training, which is a state agency that trains most sheriff deputies and most police officers, with the exception of the largest groups, graduated 30 new officers from agencies across the state who are now ready to strengthen the safety of our Commonwealth for our families. These 30 new officers join the 1,115 Kentuckians who have completed their basic training since December 2019 and the almost 8,000 officers wearing the badge of honor across Kentucky. The unique aspect about this specific graduating class is that it included 8 women, which is one of the largest number of females to graduate from one single basic training class in a long time. We are excited to have these amazing women serving our communities and increasing the representation of women in law enforcement agencies. To the recruits who just graduated, the Commonwealth is lucky to have you. We'll depend on you. We'll need you to have your very best judgment, but we will be safer because of you. And we thank you for your diligence in creating safer communities. Team Kentucky wishes you a safe and a fulfilling career. Thank you to all of our law enforcement for your service and protection. We owe you a debt of gratitude. All right, we are finalizing joint damage assessments for the March 3rd storms. Remember, we have had so many different storm systems that have caused different amounts of damages that we seek federal declarations for different individual ones to get assistance, either for damage to public assets or with the flooding and the tornadoes, individual assistance as well. So for the March 3rd storm, Kentucky Emergency Management will request, so as an update, in that storm, 76 counties were in a federal declaration of disaster, which we believe will get us the public assistance that's helping roads and other damage. We're going to request, though, that the following counties be added to that declaration: Boyle, Clinton, Fayette, Henderson, McCreary, Mercer, Pulaski, Russell, Wayne, and Woodford. If approved for public assistance, these counties would be added to the declaration. The other 76 have already been approved for just that March 3rd storm system. If we go to Eastern Kentucky for an update on rebuilding to date, the Commonwealth Sheltering Program has 141 households that we are sheltering. That's down 10 from April 13th. Those remain in travel trailers, 145 travel trailers currently in use, also down 10. 136 are in commercial locations, where the other 9 are in private locations. 4 people still sheltering in 1 hotel, and 16 people are sheltering in state parks. FEMA has now approved more than $104.9 million in individual assistance. That's an increase of $439,000 since our last update. Since April 13th, an additional 5 applicants have received the max grant of $37,900, bringing the max grants alone to $26 million for 702 survivors. If you need help, you can call FEMA directly or visit a multi-agency resource center. These are now primarily virtual, given the amount of people that have either had their claims satisfied or are no longer coming in. So please go to the page and find either the email address or the number to call before going to one of these locations. All right, and now for a tradition leading up to the Kentucky Derby. As most of you know, we're fast approaching one of the most important days of the year in the Commonwealth, the Kentucky Derby. Each springtime, the eyes of the world turn to Kentucky, to Louisville, and to Churchill Downs for the most exciting 2 minutes in sports. And every year, the people of Kentucky show the world why the Commonwealth is unlike any other place on earth. This year, we will celebrate the Derby's 149th running, and we'll be showcasing the strength and resilience of our people, how we've come together to help each other out time and time again, no matter what adversity we are facing, and how we're emerging as that national economic powerhouse. Here in the Commonwealth, thoroughbred racing is many things. It's sports, it's business, it's culture, it's heritage. It's also art. Through the ages, artists have been inspired by the Derby, the beauty and power of the horses, the skill and the strength of the jockey working in the colorful silks, and the pomp and pageantry of the crowd at the best-known race in the world. Today, I'm honored and proud to take part in this time-honored tradition of presenting a Governor's Celebration Derby poster. The artist for this year's Governor's Celebration Derby poster is Richard Sullivan. Richard is a Louisville native and former pro baseball player with the Atlanta Braves, so he is both an accomplished artist and was that good of an athlete, which is not fair. But as we're about to see, Richard's talents go far beyond the baseball diamond. His widely collected artwork is informed by a deep connection to the sporting world with images that radiate energy and excitement. The work he has created for the Celebration Derby poster captures the power, joy, and celebration of experiencing the race firsthand. With that, I'd like Richard to join me as we unveil the Governor's Celebration Derby poster, and then he provides any comments that he'd like. Come on up.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome. Are we going this way?
Yeah, let's just bring it up.
Okay.
Ready?
And here we go. All right.
Oh, it looks beautiful.
Yes.
Yeah.
Hey, thank you so much for your
Yes,
work.
Thank you. It's an honor. Yeah.
Please.
Yeah. It's a little nerve-wracking. I'm not used to this. I don't know how you do it every day. But yeah, I think this is such a special project for me because my mom's family's been farming in Hart County since the 1820s. So horses and Kentucky is just deeply ingrained in my blood, and you know, just such an honor. Like, it's amazing the places art will take you. And you know, when I started my career, I'd never imagined me being up here. So I love every minute of it, and thank you so much. And I hope the people of Kentucky really enjoy the poster, and you know, take some time to appreciate what like a special tradition it is to have in your state, because not every state has that.
So Richard, if other people want to see other of your works of art, how do
Right.
they do it?
Yeah, I have a website. You can actually just Google Richard Sullivan Art. I'm pretty prominent up there, and it takes you to my website, my email. Just Google my name, and I have a studio and gallery in Louisville, Kentucky. Where I'm living in the West End in Portland, but I have a gallery at Core Gallery, so that's in Louisville. So yeah, just reach out. I'd be happy to hear from you. So
Thank
yeah.
you.
Thank you.
Congratulations.
So much. Yeah, thank you.
All right, prints of this beautiful Derby poster can be purchased online at tah.ky.gov. It's the Tourist Arts and Heritage Council's website. Then you click on the link for Historic Properties Online Store. All right, quick update from Public Health. All but one Kentucky county is currently in the low COVID-19 status. This week, the FDA approved a second Omicron booster for immunocompromised people and people over the age of 65. What this means is if you're over the age of 65, then I believe it's been at least 3 months since your first Omicron booster, you should go and get this booster. Immunocompromised folks out there know how important keeping up their immunity is as well. As a reminder, the National Public Health Emergency Declaration for COVID-19 will end on May 11th, 2023. And an update on the memorial. You know, while we have reached better days in our fight against the pandemic, we will not forget those that have been lost. Over 18,000 of our loved ones, more than World War I, World War II, Vietnam, Korea took from Kentucky. This one pandemic has taken. And we're also not going to forget our incredible healthcare heroes, National Guard, EMTs, first responders, our educators who were able to get our kids back in the classroom with every single district back faster than any other state. We had every single district in before any other state. We want to make sure that we are truly creating a type of memorial that remembers this time, gives people a place to grieve, but also shows the heroism that Kentuckians have shown. The memorial is from the artist Amanda Matthews. It's being installed now. And it was selected through a committee made up of the families who lost someone to the virus. Also, healthcare heroes and other Kentuckians impacted by the pandemic had a part. We're going to hold a ceremony. Once it is complete, it'll be another chance for us to come together and recognize all that kindness. But if you drive around the Capitol right now, you will see a significant work being done on that memorial. And finally, our team, Kentucky All-Star. Yesterday, I was proud to announce Laurel County native and award-winning author Silas House as the 2023-2024 Kentucky Poet Laureate. Silas is a nationally best-selling author of several novels. Among his many awards are the Nautilus Award, an E.B. White Award, Appalachian Book of the Year, the New York Public Library and NAV Foundation Storyline Prize, and the Lee Smith Award. Silas has been invited to read at the Library of Congress. In 2018, his novel Southernmost was longlisted for the Carnegie Medal for Excellence in Fiction. In 2020, Silas received the Governor's Awards in the Arts Artist Award. We did that remotely, so he came this last year, and we were able to recognize him for that. So next week on Monday, April 24th at 10:30 a.m. here in the Capitol, we'll celebrate Silas and the Kentucky Writers' Day. But today, congratulations and honors to him as our team, Kentucky All-Star, and Kentucky Poet Laureate. Congratulations to Silas. Okay, we have 3 journalists in our room and 2 on the phone. We'll start with Tom Latek.
Thank you, Governor. Good afternoon to you. I'll give you 2 quick ones. I have everything you've had today has given me a whole bunch of questions, but I'll stick to 2 quick ones for you. First of all, is there a cause yet of the Natural Bridge fire? And do you have a completion date for the memorial in mind that you will hold that celebration?
So I have not received a cause for the Natural Bridge fire, but we will get back to you if one has been determined. The memorial, we are hoping, will be completed this spring. With an unveiling and ceremony this spring. It's hard to unveil something as large as it is, but let me also say it's in an area called Memorial Park, and this project is allowing us to make Memorial Park more ADA compliant so that people can go to the Gold Star Memorial, Gold Star Family Memorial, or other ones. So it's truly also going to develop that area, which is a special area. Carolina.
Governor, a new poll has your job approval rating at 63%, making you once again the most popular Democratic governor in this country. It's an election year, so of course everyone's looking into these numbers. How do you interpret numbers like this as you continue making decisions?
Well, the question was on, I think, the Morning Consult poll, which showed a approval rating, which is pretty similar to what we've been seeing of 63%. Let me first say I'm grateful that many Kentuckians who were called think I'm doing a good job And what I tell them is I'm certainly doing my best. And I appreciate that they see that and that they feel that. I think with everything we have been through in Kentucky, we have stripped away a lot of the us versus them that seems to be so dominant in Washington, D.C. I hope people have gotten to know me. When you're doing one of these every day for a year and a half, I think people see exactly who you are. And I hope that I've talked to people and not at them, as well as shared the why. One of the favorite things that I ever hear from people is I might not have agreed with you on a decision you made, but I know you thought you were doing the right thing. If we can get to a point just in humanity where we can try to understand other people's why, maybe that can give us the grace and the space to have difficult conversations. But certainly, I think we've stood with one another during very difficult times of natural disasters, but also in inflation, while at the same time announcing just record-breaking economic development. And if there is one thing that I would be proud of is that we are creating an economy for our kids and our kids' kids that are going to turn our brain drain into a brain gain and ensure that no matter how big they dream, they at least have the opportunity to chase their dream right here in Kentucky. Liam.
Governor, this question is a two-part question. Kentucky Lantern reported on Monday that the state Democrat Party, your campaign, received nearly $700,000 from first-time donors connected to the reverse logistics industry, with a large share of that coming from WDB Transport and people related to the London, Kentucky mayor. My first question is, what do you know about how these contributions came about? And then the second question is that some of these contributions seemed a bit unusual in terms of first-time donations, such as, let's say, $15,000 from a diesel mechanic in Corbin. How does your campaign, or does your campaign ever examine contributions to make sure that there's no reimbursement of the donor?
So obviously this is an official press conference, and I think these questions are directly campaign related. I'd ask that you submit them to the campaign. I've tried to make an effort to not campaign from this podium, and we'll try to turn around answers to you. But I can tell you that every moment of my political career, we've welcomed people that want to support us. We've had support from Democrats and Republicans, thousands of people across Kentucky and across the United States. But all of those have been voluntary, and nothing has or ever will be promised for any type of donation. All right, Karen Czar, WUKY.
Good afternoon, Governor, and thank you. I have two. One is, what is happening to the travel trailers as they become vacant? And the other is, you talked about the opioid number decreasing. And I know part of the reason you signed the executive order regarding medical marijuana was to help with the opioid crisis. I know there's no way to know for sure until we're there, but do you anticipate that change to medical marijuana, and along with the legislature's change, is going to help decrease opioid deaths? Thank you.
Well, I certainly hope that the medical marijuana program, or what's allowed under my executive order, is resulting in fewer people having to take opioids. And what we know is that opioids are so addictive. And so it would stand to reason that if we cut down the number of people who ever start taking them, then we would cut down at least a portion of the addiction that's out there. And very rarely is the drug that kills someone the very first one that they took. And listen, when we look back at why our rates are so high, it all goes back to the pill mills that cause devastating consequences here in the Commonwealth. So if we can take another step to decrease people's uses of opioids, if they can treat pain instead with medical marijuana, yes, I do believe that it will result in fewer opioid deaths. Our travel trailers, we've actually developed a plan that we are working through. Some of them are going to be stored for the next time we need them. Some of them are going to be used by different state agencies for command posts that they may need in responding to different things. Some of them we're looking at parks for what we might be able to use. It's not an Airbnb if it's in a park, but if you don't have the ability to travel that way and set up in a state park, would you still want that experience? But the last thing we're willing to do, which I offered to Governor Tate Reeves, is what Louisiana did for us. We're willing to surplus these to other states that go through natural disasters, so that just like Louisiana said, however many of these 200 you need, you come get them. We can do for every other state that's going through this. That's what I think we all need to be doing as a country. I think there's an opportunity to maintain these and to move these to different places and to be able to move with more speed than ever before. Certainly, the time in which our travel trailer program took to set up in Western Kentucky was shorter than maybe it had been the last time in Louisiana, but we did it a lot faster in Eastern Kentucky. We want, no matter where that next natural disaster is and no matter what state, for them to have at least that intermediate housing even faster than we were able to set it up. Jason Riley, WDRB.
Yes, sir. Yesterday, Attorney General Daniel Cameron suggested moving a KSP post to Louisville because of so much violence. I wanted to get your opinion on whether that was something that is feasible or could happen, and just any comments you had on it.
Well, certainly my hope is, before making a comment like that the Attorney General would reach out to the Kentucky State Police Commissioner and would think through questions like, where are you going to take those troopers from? Now, Louisville has, I think, a 50 plus law enforcement agencies. Many of our rural areas have a couple of deputies and the Kentucky State Police. But the second thing that struck me about that is it seems to show a lack of confidence by the Attorney General and LMPD to respond to crime in Louisville. Listen, I know the DOJ report says LMPD needs to do some things differently, but 2 of their officers within 3 minutes responded to a shooting that killed one of my friends, but you know what? Saved another one of them. I guess, unlike the Attorney General, I have confidence that LMPD will do their very best in situations like that. We'll get there as fast as they possibly can. And I want LMPD to know that I at least support them and don't think we should bring another law enforcement agency in suggesting that LMPD can't do their job. So to those people in uniform in Louisville, listen, I get that we need to do some things differently, but thank you. Listen, I lost Tommy, but Darren's still with us. And for that, I will forever be grateful. And I'm praying for the LMPD officer that is still in critical condition in that hospital. This agency is more than earned our prayers and our love. And I want to make sure that all my positions support and have confidence in them, that they'll respond as quickly as they can to any of these violent situations. All right. Thank you all very much.